I just want to urge, we have a very important election coming up. The U.S. presidential election is going to be interesting. I know many of the people over here have not been very active, but we have to raise our voice through the political process as well. We have to engage in the process. It may not be the first thing that comes to mind, but it's the least we can do. I believe we have to talk to Mitt Romney, we have to talk to President Obama, we have to engage all of our elected officials and help bring all of our troops home. We have an 1,800 soldier deployment coming up here in the Oregon National Guard. We should not be sending any single one of the soldiers from here or in Oregon to Afghanistan. They do not deserve to die over there. They don't deserve to suffer. Sadly, since 9/11, 6,500 soldiers have died in Afghanistan and Iraq. That number is twice the ones, as many as people who died on 9/11. We need to end the troop casualties and bring all of our soldiers home. In our thirst for revenge, we hurt almost 2 million people in Iraq and Afghanistan. They were wounded and injured, and many of them have lost their families' lives and have been crushed, devastated for good. We hope that this revenge will end, this madness will end, and we will be able to help the crying widows, the orphans, the screams of the helpless people who don't have the voice in Washington, D.C. or here in the United States.
I don't know how much I can say in 5 minutes, but first I want to start out by saying I think it's important to understand the extent and depth of the militarism in our society. Since World War II, our whole economy has been based on the military and wars. Since 1945, the United States has invaded 390 times in over 100 countries. I know people don't really think about that. This system thrives on creating tensions because the profits all come from the wars. The wars and the military spending just continually deepens the oligarchic structure that makes money on the public money, actually. They make huge profits on public money. We guarantee, as the public, to support the military-industrial complex.
We are the 99%! We are the 99%! You can't forget that! Remember that! We're not the 47%. I want to talk about a different kind of drone, the kind of drone that goes to work every day, on time, for their corporate overlords. The Chicago teachers went on strike not because they're greedy, not because they just wanted another vacation. They went out because they saw what's wrong with this country, where a lot of money goes to war and nothing goes to the schools. Here in Portland, classroom size increased. You have less teachers for your children. They're going to learn less, unless of course, we're going to teach them. But I'm saying that the priorities are wrong. If we had jobs, if we had decent housing for everyone, if we had decent health care for everyone, and if we could change our economy based on a green energy and save our environment instead of oil, the whole thing about war is about corporations making profits off your backs.
A federal appeals court ruled in favor of the government's use of indefinite detention, a defense bill passed by Congress and signed into law by President Obama. Under the guise of fighting terrorism, the last 2 administrations have filled the concentration camps and torture chambers at Guantanamo Bay, other detention centers, and numerous secret sites with people who had nothing to do with 9/11, terrorist activities, or wars people are being filled into. This is meant to frighten us into accepting a massive curtailment of everyone's civil liberties. But people are fighting back. Cases brought on behalf of Guantanamo detainees by lawyers from the Center for Constitutional Rights, National Lawyers Guild, and others are the background for epic legal struggles. The crackdown on dissent is happening right now, and so is the fight back. First they came for 23 socialists, anti-war, and union movement leaders in the Midwest. Then they came after Carlos Montes, a respected Chicano union and immigrant rights organizer in Los Angeles, and raided homes of anti-NATO March activists in Chicago. Now they've targeted the Pacific Northwest, including several homes of suspected anarchists, and issuing grand jury subpoenas. I'm sure you remember this on the news. One of the targeted, Matt Duran, has been jailed for refusing to testify. People have organized to defend anarchists, anti-war activists, the right to protest government policies, and they form committees. The Committee to Stop FBI Repression sprang up to defend anti-war activists in Minneapolis. And the Committee Against Political Repression is a local Pacific Northwest group active in Portland formed to defend raided anarchists and their resistance to testifying before a grand jury.
Snakes invading other countries. We have to be honest about what that means. And what that means is we are 100% in support of the people of Afghanistan. 100% in support of the people of Afghanistan. Because y'all know, if somebody took up guns, black boots, stomped your door in, kidnapped your family, you wouldn't be saying we have to support the troops. You would be saying, I'm going to run these people out of my house by any means necessary. So we have to 100% support the people of Afghanistan. I know some of y'all can't handle that, but that's the truth. And I agree with the previous speakers. Capitalism is a backward blood-sucking system. We've got to convince them that they've got to be a part of this process. Is that right? We've got to do that. Now, we're doing that a number of ways. We're seizing houses in Northeast. We're patrolling the MAX trains. We're interfering with police when they're harassing people. We're doing a number of things like that. We're creating a community agreement that says in the community that we don't want one empty house. We don't want any more evictions. We want people to have quality places to live. But you don't have to do it that way. You can do it whatever you want. Maybe you think the election is the answer. I'm not going to tell you it isn't. But whatever you believe, we've got to get more people involved in this process. We can't just have a march and rally and then go have a beer. That's not going to give us what we need. We can't just have a march and rally and then go watch sports on TV. We've got to turn up the heat. Your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your bankrupt cousin next door, your children, everybody's got to be involved on some level in this movement. On some level. You got the holidays coming up. You can't just sit there and talk about Turkey. You got to talk about how this land was stolen from the native people. And we got to support their struggle for self-determination. We've got to take every opportunity to bring consciousness to this struggle. And we do that. If we stick together, if we don't let them divide us. Don't look at me and say, well, he's anti-capitalist. I can't talk to him. You got to talk to everybody that's trying to make a positive difference. We've all got to talk and build this movement. So that's our task for today. When you leave here today, two things. No, number one, we've got to organize as many study groups as we can so we can study this problem and understand it. We can't just say, well, we got to bring the troops home. No, we've got to support the people of Afghanistan. We've got to support the people of Iran. We've got to support these people. Because you know if somebody came in your house, we want somebody to support. of occupying public space, we are taking recognition of the fact that City Hall sits at the feet of its masters, and it is time to retrain that dog. We are demanding, for the sake of all of our humanity, that the right of undisturbed sleep be self-evident and respected by our instruments of power. This local issue points to a disregard for human rights and directly relates to an irrational set of priorities that are being dictated. Since last December, this prayer vigil has been maintained by a dedicated crew, some of whom are here with us now. This team has endured winter, police harassment, and poisons that can become the only thing preventing despair. Poisons that persist as we fight yet another failed war, the drug war. All of this lies at the doors of those responsible, and this time we won't just go away. There is nowhere left to go to. They are taking it all. They are stealing it all.
Fuck austerity!
The Portland Police Bureau was recently slammed for its systematic failure to treat people with respect. That pattern showed itself in those parks last fall, in Chemansky Park last winter, and it continues to show itself right here every day.
Why there's riot cops down the street?
Reach on, guy.
To try to shift the blame onto a broken mental health system is a supreme irony, as the City Council's callous refusal to allow people to simply sleep, combined with the day-to-day behavior of the police toward people who try to sleep on the streets, are contributors to mental health crisis in the first place. Being leaderless, Occupy creates an opportunity for the poor to lead in the battle for civil rights, their own as well as others. And to overlook the needs of the most poor is to start in the wrong place. Before I join you and we remarch, I want to leave you with one thing. A new study done by Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting states that poverty barely registers as a campaign issue. Out of 10,489 campaign stories over 6 months, 17 of them dealt with poverty in a substantive way. And overall in the media, less than 1% of stories deal with the issue of poverty.
Imagine that.